Hi folks, you're with Tacitus today, your Pushback channel, and thank you for joining this live stream. In this essay, I'd like to talk about the Ghislaine Maxwell trial and the Jeffrey Epstein, or Epstein as it's pronounced in America, the Jeffrey Epstein case sort of more widely, or situation more widely. Now, I don't know how many people have been following the evidence given by the women, or at the time young women, about their experiences, ordeals, their views, their attitudes, and so on to the whole thing. But it's, if you sort of are prepared to look at some of the testimony that these now women are giving, then it'll give you a sort of a more rounded view to what was going on. Now, I think, by the way, it's rather sordid and tawdry, but let's sort of look at the reality of it. If Epstein could get these girls together and have, you know, Bill Clinton and a host of other heavy dudes, rich and powerful people, heading over to his island to consort with young girls, then it's obviously he was producing a service that was in demand by the rich and powerful. That doesn't make it any less sordid or tawdry, but that's sort of the reality, as unpleasant as it might be. Now, looking at these girls, or listening or reading rather the transcripts to some of this thing, you've got very ambitious young girls, and you know, one assumes Ghislaine Maxwell wouldn't pick shy, shrinking violets. They just wouldn't work. It would be impractical all around. So she'd have to pick girls who would have a burning desire to get somewhere in life, who realise their own limitations. Maybe their humble beginnings. Maybe they realise they've only got an IQ of 90, and their only asset is how they look. They've noticed how men look at them. They're 15 years old, 16 years old, 17 years old, that sort of thing. And they think that's their only ticket out of it. Maybe they're from small town America. They know the boys down at down the main street of the small town they come from. They see the looks these boys, and they know what those looks mean. So they figure, okay, that's my ticket out of here. How do I play that ticket? Now, someone like, and there had to be other people involved. There had to be the talent spotters out there that delivered the girls to Ghislaine Maxwell for evaluation. It had to go something along those lines, or one would imagine at least. So Maxwell talks to these girls, and she's checking them out. Do you have that very ambitious, burning desire for designer label clothes and yachts and power and money? Are you dazzled by the trinkets of power and money and these sorts of things? And again, none of these girls would have been particularly bright, and they'd have been easily dazzled by that sort of stuff. And who wasn't, by the way? You know, when I first started working, like as a kid, you know, I'd finish school and I'd rush off to do a shit job in some factory down the way, and you know, just for a few hours, then I'd head back home. And the guy, there was some guy would come, and he's the president of the company or something, and he used to have this fantastic car, and you could smell the leather seats from a mile away, and he'd be wearing these sharp suits, and his hair was all, and I thought, oh, I want to be like that. Oh, wow. And the guy was so sure of himself, or appeared to be. Now, I look back now as someone who's, you know, achieved things in my own right, and I think he wasn't much chop. But as a kid, I don't know, I'd have been 14 or 15 or something, going, oh, holy shit, that's what I want to be when I grow up. So it's easy to dazzle young people. And I was, even at that stage, had ambitions of, you know, I was going to change the world and shit like that. And I'm sure these young girls that Ghislaine Maxwell interviewed or checked out, I'm sure they would have had similar ambitions, regardless of how misguided these things appear as you get older. But so I think a couple of the girls have commented, you know, when I first met Ms. Maxwell, you know, she was so confident. She was wearing such nice clothes. She had great jewellery. She was so polite, and so unaffected. And this, I mean, she comes from money, Ghislaine Maxwell, so she's able to pull that off. The good schools, the people she hung around with, the exquisite manners, and this sort of thing. She was capable of all those things, and one would expect, given the money background she came from. But that would have dazzled these young girls. And one of them said, I wanted to be like her. I want what she's got. I want to be like her and have what she has. And I'm prepared to do anything to get it. Now, if you're going to have sort of attractive young girls as hostesses, whether it ends up being, they're there for intimate relations or simply as pleasant company, or a mixture of both, or this or that, you'd have to get them comfortable of being around people and with people on some sort of intimate terms. So you can understand where the sort of massage thing came in. I've tried to introduce that as being in itself a sleazy thing. But if you're going to introduce girls and that sort of thing, it's probably a path you would take. I'm guessing now. It sounds like I've got experience in this and I don't, but I'm guessing that's the path it would go along. So these young girls are dazzled by the lights, the money, the power, the jets, and they're being flown on a jet out to an island. And they say, I mean, they've probably never been on a plane before. The Greyhound bus was the height of their travel capacity. Before that, they're staying in fancy houses in New York City. There are chefs and cleaners and staff to run around and do the bits and pieces. You'd have felt like you're a queen, in there, and you're living like a queen. And so this would all have been very seductive and very, very enticing and alluring to these young girls, and they would have gone for it. Now, their ambition, of course, was to, well, if I do this for you, and will you buy me $1 million diamond necklaces? Will you give me lots and lots of bits and pieces? And will you buy me nice houses and give me nice cars to drive, and so on? So, no, they weren't in that league. They were just young girls. Maybe one or two of them made into that league, but they were younger girls. Not so young, some of them, and the ones that were purporting to be, was 15, and they knew what they were getting into. Maybe not the fullest extent of it, but they knew what they were getting into. And if they didn't know from second one, they would have worked it out pretty quickly. These were ambitious girls who were already sexually active. So this is the thing. So they looked at Ghislaine Maxwell. So she was the perfect talent scout in some way, or interviewer, I guess, because ambitious young girls who really wanted to go places and knew that all they had was their looks going for them. They would have looked at Ghislaine Maxwell, and she would have been everything they wanted to be, and they would do anything to be like her. And that would have been part of the overall, if you like, story that was going on there. Now, at the end, these girls didn't get what they wanted. They're not rich. They're not famous. They don't have prestigious jobs. They didn't get a prestigious husband to marry, or this sort of thing, a rich, prestigious husband. So now they're going, well, I didn't get what I want. You bastards used me, and I want to fuck you. So we need to look at the wider picture here. Now, that shouldn't detract from the tawdry and the sordid. That's still there and still needs to be considered and put through the ringer. But we also need to look at the other side. They didn't get what they wanted, and they're sore about it, and that's also part of the thing. I guess, sort of in my view, I noticed that when it comes to throwing the term pedophile around, they're very keen on having 16-year-old girls within seconds of turning 17 and saying, well, there you go, that's a pedophile thing. For mine, I've never understood why an old man, 40, 50, 60, why an old man would want to, what the attraction would be to even a 20-year-old girl. I mean, I understand the youth side of everything, but what would be the attraction? I don't get it. It just seems very odd to me, but that's only me. So clearly that's something that rich and powerful and probably bored shitless people want, and they queue up to get on Jeffrey Epstein's jet to go to whatever that island was, Love Island or whatever he called it, and hang around these young girls that were recruited for the purpose of gratifying the sensibilities and probably the lusts of some of these people. So, but let's not lose sight of the bigger picture here and understand what was going on. You've been with Tacitus today, your Pushback channel, and thank you for listening.